Exercising self-awareness. We tend to think of self-awareness as hard, long-term facts about ourselves, but it's also a cognitive state, a short-term mode of consciousness you can practice. Being in this conscious mindset helps you to stay accountable to your deepest values and, most importantly, your goals. When you're in it, you can catch yourself when you act in a way that's not in line with your values, virtues, and aspirations. Sometimes you'll realize it in time to change. Sometimes you'll learn from your mistakes right after. But you benefit by continually asking for questions of whether your behavior is aligned with who you really want to be. Welcome to Life Hack Line, the channel that roars the secrets of life. Make sure to watch this video until the end because we don't want you to miss a single thing. And if you don't know us yet, we at Life Hack Line are specialized in creating life hack ideas, tips and tricks, content that are fun and can absolutely make your life easier. In today's episode, I'll share the exercises that best help me cultivate a mindset of accountable self-awareness. Most of them take fewer than 10 minutes but can be extended to go deeper. I've divided them into two main categories: exercises based on external consequences and exercises for assessing your thoughts in real time. Evaluating your responses to outside triggers. Exercises that focus on outside triggers, environmental responses, are the hardest to practice. That's because they require questioning your biased, stubborn, emotional gut. But they also get a lot easier to do every time you see them through. Since these exercises are post-mortems, they should be your teacher of last resort. After all, the only time to show you've learned from them is next time. Still, the payoff can be tremendous, particularly in the way it can improve your relationships with other people. Number 1. Reconsider the last criticism you received. When was the last time someone criticized your behavior? Think back to that moment and, regardless of how you judged that criticism at the time, ask if you were right. We hate admitting mistakes more than making them, so we're rarely willing to even consider that we're wrong. But with a little distance and time, it's often easier to see and accept that you could have done better. Doing so creates humility and, more importantly, opens you a little more to considering you're wrong in the future. For example, when I receive criticism of my writing, I don't always agree immediately. But if an exchange builds, I sometimes answer later and ask follow-up questions to better understand what the commenter meant. Number 2. Ask one person for advice. Seth Godin notes that asking for feedback is different than asking for advice. When you ask for advice, you are focusing on what can improve and not fishing for compliments. Message the last person you talk to and ask, "Hey, remember when we discussed X? How can I do a better job at it?" The X itself isn't terribly important. Whatever it is, there's a high chance you will learn something about yourself from the advice that follows. It's a piece of data you can reflect on, and whether the insight is profound or not, it'll help you see past your biases. Number 3. Apologize for a past mistake. You can't own up to a mistake without admitting that you made it. Once again, the passage of time makes doing so easier. The effect on the person I apologize to never ceases to amaze me. Often, the apology is received as unexpected kindness. The result for me, however, is less fear of apologizing and thus less desire to sweep blunders under the rug when they do occur. Every apology reduces the time it takes for me to see my own mistakes. For example, I recently blamed my family for something that was actually my fault. Apologizing didn't just clear the air and nurture these relationships, but in the following conversation, each member gave me valuable advice for how I could solve the real underlying problem. Number 4. Say no to one opportunity. We all have thousands of opportunities to do certain things and forgo others every day. Saying no, whether by turning down an offer or canceling a prior commitment, forces you to analyze your gut feeling. Sometimes you have to override it. Often, you don't. Realizing either is a win. For example, Clear used to write 2 articles per week for the first 3 years after launching his blog. But then, he got a book deal, so he had to say no to this important work in favor of something even bigger. Saying no takes practice. Pick one thing from your to-do list or inbox and say no to it. When you say no, You are only saying no to one option. When you say yes, you are saying no to every other option. Awareness of deeper themes. You could call these exercises character snapshots. Some of them take longer but need to be done less often. Used to track long-term patterns, they can usually be done just a few times a year. These exercises help you become aware of more intangible traits, beliefs, attitudes, and patterns. Remember that these are malleable. You can change them. Your identity is not rigid, but change takes time and effort. You need to adjust your actions accordingly over months and years. Number 5, create a personal manifesto. Call it your values, your vision, your non-negotiable, or your rules of life, but whatever you call it, having a code of conduct you can compare to your real behavior is valuable. You can literally talk this out and record it on your phone in 5 minutes. You can pick 3 values out of a long list and write an annual review of integrity report about them, or wrap it all into a single question. For example, I chose love, honesty, and creativity as my main values for 2019 from this list. I now keep them in a note file that I remind myself to review regularly. Number 6, mind map yourself. Manifestos are about who you want to be, but mind maps are about getting what you want based on what you have. They are common career and business planning tools, but work for personal goals as well. Here are some I've tried. Time folding. Put your name in a center circle and then list your dreams in all areas of life as a series of expanding bubbles. EULERIAN destiny. Draw 4 concentric circles with questions about your youth, last decade, natural talents, and interests. Find something that fits into the intersection of these circles based on your answers. The freedom diagram. Draw 3 concentric circles representing talent, fun, and demand. Use the intersection to figure out a skill you can and want to invest time in to make a good living. For example, in doing the EULERIAN Destiny exercise in 2014, I learned that I would likely do well in something that involves computers in one way or another, can be done as a solo activity, and requires speaking English. Number 7, take a personality test. The science behind any individual personality test is often quite debatable. Nonetheless, personality tests and quizzes can help you identify traits or patterns that can be useful to know. That said, don't get lost in the results. Instead, use the insights you glean as starting points to discover more about yourself. MYERS-BRIGGS JUNG typology, the famous 4-letter typecast. ENNEAGRAM, a more spiritual non-type framework. The 4 tendencies, your reactions to inner and outer expectations. Emotional intelligence, how good are you at practicing empathy? Attachment style, are you avoidant, anxious, or secure in relationships? The multi-potentialite test, find out if you're a generalist or a specialist. Introversion or extroversion, does being in groups give you energy or take it? Personal SWOT analysis, what are your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? STRENGTHSFINDER 2.0, find out how to thrive at work. This test requires payment. Learning style, a rough assessment of your preferred way to learn. For example, using these tests, I've learned that I have INFJ preferences with a secure attachment style, and my tendency is to be able to be an upholder. These results might mean that I like people's expectations of me to be clear, that it's important that my work have meaning and contribution to a greater good. Number 8, contemplating death. Making a deliberate effort to meditate on your own mortality instead of engaging in our usual practice of pushing it away is a self-help technique as old as man. It sounds counterintuitive, but multiple studies show confronting our future death can help us live better in the now. The Stoics famously wrote about the contemplation of eventual death as a path for acceptance, perspective, and gratitude. Observing in the moment. The exercises on this level, which deal with real-time self-observation, are the easiest to practice. All you have to do is write one sentence, take one breath, change one thought, but the hardest to make habitual. That is all because in a short but decisive moment, you were not just self-aware, but self-accountable. As Aristotle said, knowledge is the beginning of all wisdom. Number 9. Keep a daily journal. Journaling supports self-awareness on all levels, but it doesn't have to be a time-consuming practice. Here is a prompt-based approach that is particularly quick to do daily. For example, I'm in my second year of the Daily Stoic Journal. For each morning, I read the appropriate page in the book, reflect on it, and then answer a single question with 2 to 3 sentences. Throughout the day, I remember the theme. Number 10. Question, then label your thoughts. Imagine your thoughts and emotions as if they were a river, and you will be able to mentally step back from them. Let them pass by. You're now free to grab anyone. Label it, question it, and then judge it. As Michael Singer says, lean out of your stream of consciousness. Naming negative emotions weakens them, while identifying positive ones makes them stronger. James Altucher adds question marks to opinions and dubs thoughts useful or not useful. Sakichi Toyota, founder of the Toyota Empire, regularly asked why 5 times in a row to get the root of a problem. And last but not the least, number 11, meditate using anything. Don't be fooled. You can meditate anywhere, anytime, using any baseline. You can close your eyes and meditate for 1 minute on the subway. Just feel your breath. You can take deep breaths on purpose. You can pay attention to your body language and try to smile more, walk straighter, or sit up straight. You can tell yourself that you love yourself over and over again as you lie in bed. As long as you focus your attention on one thing and bring it back to that thing from every distraction for as little as a minute to as long as you want, you're meditating. It may be true that it takes self-knowledge to lead an enlightened life, but it also takes responsibility to live a good one. By practicing habits that keep you close to your values, you can help ensure you grow in the direction of the person you want to become. Think these help, or do you have any questions for our next video? Let us know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Lifehack Lion and make sure to hit the notification bell icon to be the first to watch our newest videos. Thank you so much for watching, and until our next Roaring Lifehack Lion video.